Hey everyone, welcome back to Pickle Insights Life Unlocked. I am Prateek, your tech guide, and I'm really excited to dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Priyank, your friendly neighborhood GP, and thank you for all the feedback you left us after our first episode. Let's take this one next further and see what we got to share.
So, last time we looked at the benefits of smartwatches. Today, we are going to deep dive into who are the big players in the market, what are these smartwatches doing, who is adopting these smartwatches, and we'll explore the industry with a little bit of detail.
Yeah, that's correct. We'll be looking at the makers of these watches. What are they promising us? Are there any fine prints to look out for? And are they actually delivering what they're promising?
So, grab your favorite drink, relax, sit back, and get comfy. You do not want to miss these insights. Also, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe to Pickle Insights Life Unlocked because there's a lot of cool stuff coming your way.
All right, Prateek. So let's start. Let's start by jumping into the history of these smartwatches. How did we get these mini computers onto our wrist? Yes, and I would like a very hot cup of tea right now.
So picture this, in 1500s being fancy meant hauling around a pocket clock. Yep, no quick glance at your wrist to tell the time.
Imagine the inconvenience. Look, I mean, how could you check your time if you're riding a horse?
You probably fall off the horse. But then, boom, wristwatches appeared on the scene, and time telling became so much more easier. Now, fast forward to the 80s, where PCs were dominating the market, laptops were still tethered to the cord, and then finally, fast forward to 2007, that changed the game where the first iPhone was launched. Suddenly, our pockets became the digital command center as we know them today.
But the wrist wasn't done yet. Enter these smartwatches. They entered with the quirky Pebble, and then Apple's smartwatch soon made waves. Now you were able to track your steps, they were buzzing with notifications, and they were even helping you shop.
The future is even looking brighter with the talk of artificial intelligence, augmented reality. And let's not forget, it's not just smartwatches. We've got fitness trackers, we've got heart rate monitors, we've got smart wearables, which can continuously monitor your glucose and ECGs at all times.
That's a good point, Pratik. So it's a whole ecosystem of wearables out there. But for this podcast, we're just focusing on the smartwatches. So Pratik, tell me, who are the key players making these watches?
That's a great question. Some of the big players and well known ones are Apple, Samsung, Fitbit, which is now bought by Google, and Google Pixel Watch itself. And on the health side, companies like Abbott's, Philips, Garmin Health are bringing the heat with medical wearables. There are new players entering the market on a daily basis.
It certainly is a competitive field. And looks like there's more players coming out day by day. But the key question is how many people are actually using these smartwatches around the world? Let's look at some fascinating statistics, what we have based on our small research.
So, as per the data available online, the number of smartwatch users has grown to 454 million, which is roughly 41% growth from previous year. This surge reflects the adoption of smartwatches not only for time telling purposes, but to look at your heart rates, your step count, your notification, even sometimes calling other people.
Whoa, so that's from 100 million users in 2020 to projected 740 million users by the end of 2029. That's about 9% of the world's population. But the another important fact, which is rather not surprising, is the major shareholder here is Apple, which is about 21 to 28%.
And there are other players in the market as well, like Samsung, Garmin, which make up more than 50% of the market, with new entrants appearing in the market every single day.
It's truly a wild, wild west out there for the smartwatches.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious, what about who's using these watches? Is there any gender trend data available?
Interestingly, while there is a slight more adoption amongst men, the usage percentage is very similar between genders across all ages. The demographic between 25 to 34 seems to have higher uptake for smart wearables. We see a decline in usage starting from 55 years of age onwards.
Looks like 25 to 34 age group is adopting the smartwatches at the rapid pace. Probably because they're the young folks, they are tech savvy, and they always want to adopt the latest gadgets.
Definitely. Also curious to see where in the world is the maximum adoption of these smartwatches. On our next slide, you will see some interesting statistics.
That's fascinating. Now, what about the financials? How much money is the industry making overall? Do we have any numbers on that?
Buckle up. The smartwatches are actually pulling in some serious revenue. There's a strong upward trajectory in the market share of these smartwatches. We looked at some numbers. We have some year-to-year comparison growth chart. And the smartwatches, the revenue actually doubled from 2019 to 2023, with expected 50 billion of economy generated by the end of 2025. That becomes 62 billion dollars by the end of 2028.
Definitely, that's impressive growth. It will make your head spin faster than hands on these watches. But my curiosity is why are people buying these smartwatches? What are they actually using it for?
It is clear that health and fitness are the major driving force behind these smartwatches. Nearly half of the users are using it for very specific fitness goals and trying to achieve them. But let's address the elephant in the room. Are there any fine prints? What are the makers of these watches are promising us?
That's a really good question. It's like reading the terms and conditions. Nobody reads them and everybody agrees because you have to at the end of the day to use any service. Now let's start with the big guy, Apple. So Apple Watch Series 10 promises that all your data stays on your device, encrypted on your device, as long as you lock it with a passcode. And they do not share this data without your permission. But it is crucial for users to keep a note of their privacy settings, especially after an upgrade, because we've noticed sometimes they play hide and seek with your privacy settings.
You mean software updates even?
Software updates, exactly.
Perfect. And then we have Samsung on the other hand, which offers a lot more disclaimers. For example, their sleep tracker is for general usage, but not for medical diagnosis.
Samsung's fine print says their blood pressure monitor needs to be recalibrated every 4 weeks.
Correct.
And is not available in all the countries. We advise our listeners to consult your doctor for anything you're not sure about.
So everyone loves the idea of having their smartwatches. It's just like having a personal coach. They tell you your steps. They tell you how well you slept. They monitor your heart rate. They give you all the data you need without the annoying pep talks.
Yeah, but in the fine print, they do mention it. Hey, we are not your real doctors. So remember to read the fine prints before you start taking any of this seriously.
Right. Because your smartwatch will be like, I see you're stressed, but I won't be able to help you when you are dealing with one.
And what about the accuracy of these health sensors? The heart rate monitor might be accurate while you're walking, but it might be bit hit and miss while you are on a 5K run.
And moving on, let's talk about some data privacy. Your smartwatch is just not collecting your steps. It's monitoring your heart rate, your stress level, your location. And in the fine print, these makers say, oh, we're collecting all the data about you and we might or might not sell it to somebody else in the future.
One of the things that we are skeptical about and we are concerned about is these devices measuring your health data. Now, how accurate is your health data? For instance, let's take Apple. At a low intensity walk, Apple measures your heart rate and it is pretty precise. But as soon as the intensity starts increasing, well, it takes certain creative liberties with the stat.
Correct. What we might do, why don't we put this to a test? We will put all the watches on our wrist and we'll, test this out and share that with you in our next video.
Absolutely. For you folks, we will put on our watches and go for a walk or a jog.
Look, if you're looking for exact precision, consider pairing your smartwatches to an external device. It's like having a backup plan. So you can rely a bit more onto the accuracy of data you're collecting and comparing that directly with your smartwatch.
And here's the fun one. Apple recently conducted a heart study in partnership with Stanford. They recruited around 400,000 participants where they found out that Apple could actually detect irregular heart rhythms. Sounds impressive, right?
It does sound impressive, doesn't it? But hang on, folks. The study actually found that 0.5% was the notification rate for irregular rhythm like atrial fibrillation. What that means is there is possibility that the smartwatches may have missed some important notifications, doesn't it?
Right. So it's not exactly diagnosing anything with 100% precision, but hey, it's a good starting point.
And that brings us to the conclusion. These smartwatches have a lot of potential when it comes to health monitoring and tracking some data.
And they give us real-time insights into our general wellness. For some people, it could be a real game changer.
But there's a lot of fine prints. There's a lot of fine prints for us, all of us, to look at and understand very clearly. You need to know what you're signing up for. So, Pratik, with all this in mind, where do you think we stand when it comes to smartwatches?
That's $1 million question. It's a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to data accuracy and privacy. Both Samsung and Apple promise their users that privacy and security is their topmost concern, but we as a user need to be vigilant.
Absolutely. It's all about getting the balance. These devices are handy. They do have a role in keeping us motivated and meeting our goals. But these are not something you can rely on for professional medical advice. They don't replace your medical professional. So please go and see them and, you know, just have your regular checkups done when they're due.
And with that, this is the conclusion of our second episode. I do recommend checking out our next episode where we go to a very special location and putting all these watches to test. So you could go to you get a first-hand view of how these watches actually measure. Is there any variance? Are they all making lies, or is it actually going to help you with your fitness goals? So in the end, please like, share, subscribe to Pickle Insights Life Unlocked.
Life unlocked. See you later.